Awesome. How has your day been so far?
It's pretty chilled out. Yeah, pretty chilled out. Just one of the Bangalore mornings where
Oh,
it's
you're in Bangalore. Okay.
yeah. In Bangalore, just coming down from Chennai, and
Hmm.
I'm going to be heading back, heading off to Delhi tomorrow for some meetings.
Yeah.
This has got a real hectic
Wow.
time happening. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
And with that, you have accepted the invite for this podcast. So I feel very
No,
honored.
no, no. I apologize. It was supposed to be long due, but yeah.
No. But it's finally happening. That's the best part.
Mm.
So, firstly, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. It's my honor to have you. And as I said earlier, I've always had you in my mind, and then I had you on my list. But you know, this journey would definitely would not have completed without having you. So I would have got you in any way because I would have probably spoken to Sir, and then I'd have done something, but I would have made it happen either way.
Yeah.
So thank you so much once again. And
Most welcome.
and something that I wanted to mention about. So the thing is, I mean, when we spoke on the phone the other day, right? And
Mm.
you were being so considerate. I mean, you were like, okay, can we make it around midday Indian Standard Time so that it's like 5:30 your time, and so that you'd have finished work? Would that work for you? I mean, I don't know how many people actually do it. I mean, it's always about our own convenience and things like that. But you were being super considerate, and you were one. And then Sir also did the same when he came on the podcast. He was like, "Hey,
Mm.
the time correct work out ஆகுமா உனக்கு? You're 5.5 hours ahead of India, இல்ல? Are you okay with that?" And then he was like, "And you did the same. So thank you for that. I just wanted to say thank you." So.
It's just, I guess when we remove the I and we make it the we, then perspective is much more larger and wider, and then you can accommodate a lot more than just being the I. So I've learned to come out of that I, which most of us, some of us are still stuck in it. Some of us have achieved it early. So I've been helped in that domain. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we're going to deep dive into this particular topic in a bit. But see, I wanted to say, although this podcast is called I Love AR Podcast, right? But this is more about your own journey.
Mhm.
And as part of your own journey, your
Okay.
association with ARR Sir and everything else around it. And so we'll be talking about a lot of
Mhm.
topics. So it's just not about core ARR. So I just thought I'll let you know. And
Yeah.
and so the
Sure.
thing is, I mean, I've watched your interview with Baddy Bharadwaj, and he's a very good friend of
Okay.
mine. And
Okay.
I found it absolutely inspiring. And you seem to be in some sort of a Zen mode, and you're like, okay, whatever happens, it's all good. I'll fly through it.
Mm.
It's well, has it been more of an evolution for you, or you've always been like this? I mean, I found it absolutely inspiring, and you were like a super good listener, and you took your time, you thought through, and all your answers were like super honest, and it touched my heart. I just wanted to say thank you for that, and also wanted to know a bit more about, have you always been like this, or has it been an evolution?
See, I've had, I don't know, maybe this is my personal take on myself. I'm a cusp. My birthday falls on 21st May. So I feel like I'm one half of the month, I'm a Taurian, and the second half, I'm the Gemini. So it's like two-faced kind of thing. So I have the good Abbas and the bad Abbas. And, unknowingly, when I've situations from right from the beginning of my career, um, I've always had to fight with myself internally. Like, when I would see certain scenarios play out in the film industry, and I'd say, should I behave in that manner, or should I? Then I would always reflect back to my inner voice. And sometimes I would listen to that.
Mm.
Sometimes I would steer away and say, okay, let's get over. But off lately, when I did get to spend a lot of time when I was away from the industry, without the society pressure, without, because there used to be time when I needed to just pick up a handkerchief as an actor, and I would step into one of the malls and I'll say, oh, people are looking at me. So for the sake of the people, I'd land up going and spending some 10, 15,000 back in the days where I needed to just spend 50 rupees. So I started reflecting and self-realizing, like, why am I doing this? What am I trying to portray? That I've got money, that I'm trying to so there's a lot of conflict within me, which kept me very unstable. And I guess my time in New Zealand did me good, where I could spend time with myself and understand myself better. So it did give and help me reflect. And I had to keep overcoming my ego at many places. So I would say I would never go and be in a place where in India we'll, mechanic shops and working in a petrol, because we'll sit in the car in India and somebody will put the petrol into nozzle into the car and fill it up for us, So the first time getting out and filling petrol only into your own car was like oh boy, it was like an empowerment, wow, I can do this, I can. It was just like a DIY stuff which you kept learning and honing those skills, and that kind of gave me some pleasure that I can do this as well. I can be a mechanic also. But sadly, when you speak out all this on a larger perspective, it gets distorted in the media and the press. But so there's so many other people who might learn off from stories and might help lift themselves up. So that's why I choose who I would like to give an interview with. I don't like going out to every person, because there's a lot of yellow journalism which I'm not really proud about. I'm pretty selective when I'm giving interviews, because I like when you hear it from the horse's mouth, you'd like it to come across to people that way, so they get a gist of it. But in today's time, sadly, there's a lot of marketing of various reasons. And I mean, I would not say that it's good or bad, but I'm not in favor of that, because sometimes the audience needs to know the truth. And I like knowing the truth. Or if I'm behind a product, if I'm going to endorse a product, I would like to know the truth before doing that, and just making the sales for it. So so that's the reason I get put off. So I'm trying to overcome that also, and not let that affect me. So I've still got a lot of learning and to be a better version of myself, but it'll come.
Amazing. And I feel special that you chose me to, come on my podcast. So thank you so much once again. So, I mean,
thank you for having me.
Your interview again with Batty, I mean, I watched it twice, and I'm really not exaggerating. I really watched it twice, once after the other again. So the thing is, I mean, what I wanted to ask you was, I just wanted to go a bit more deeper. That's all. Just wanted to get even more inspired, just more from your perspective about your determination to bounce back. I mean, what was that was keeping you motivated and focused with all sorts of challenges that you were encountering in your journey, and then but you're still staying focused and then trying to bounce back. And then I love that determination aspect. So just wanted to touch on that aspect, if you can talk a little bit about it.
For me, whenever life's beaten me down, or situations which has gotten the better of me, be it having moved to a foreign country and not knowing what to do there, or where to start off from. So I had to battle. It took me. My wife went ahead earlier, and I joined her with my son later, a couple of months later, from India and New Zealand. So that time when I was alone in India, I was sitting and conditioning my mind that you are going there not as an actor, you're going there as a Abbas. So find your core, get to know who the real Abbas is. So for that, I kept revisiting my childhood, kept going back to my teenage years, kept going back to my friends from school who treated me without having that actor tag. And that helped me overcome and have an attitude like, okay, why not? I'll go there. Worst case scenario, I can go and drive a taxi if need be, if I don't land up getting a job. Because here, being a celebrity, you can just become a director or a board member for some company, with all that stuff, without having the academic qualifications and all that stuff. But there it is, you may be whoever, you are as good as your word, your attitude. And there were small things which I learned moving there. But I follow an ant method. If you notice and observe a black ant,
Mm,
and you put when it's going in its route, you put your finger as an obstacle, and
mm,
the ant is going. It keeps kind of nudging against that object. It never goes back. It
true.
either might go over it, or it'll find an opening and go around it. So
Yeah.
I took that life lesson
Amazing.
for myself, and I said, like, okay, when you have obstacles, don't let it get the better of you and you fall back and retreat. you know
Mm,
Try and find an opening. There will be. If you try, if for example, with my family, with my kids, if I'm being a stubborn dad, a hard old school dad, like, my way or the highway, and they're not reciprocating it, then I stop that and I try a different version. I try to be a friend. I
mm,
try to be think what was I at that age, and try to level with them. So I keep trying different ways to come across till I can get my message across to them. So I would use that same method, whether it's work, whether it's between me as a husband, with my spouse, with my wife, with my family, with friends. So I
mm.
would use those kind of life lessons to help better the relationship or the scenario that I'm in.
Beautiful. Love it. Love it. And one of the other things that I realized only after the interview that I saw earlier with Baddy was you were a Bangalorean. I'm really sorry. I didn't know. I'm from Bangalore too. And I was so excited when I realized that you're from Bangalore. And I mean,
Mm.
I can't resist asking, can you just go back to your Bangalore days earlier in your
Mm.
journey and then talk through any of the things that comes to your mind, your time in Bangalore, and where did you hang out, and anything that comes to your mind.
Well, hot chocolate, I mean, Corner House was a
Mhm.
dating spot back in the days. Going to Rex Theatre on a date.
Oh yeah,
Uh, the Nilgiris on Brigade Roads,
I
getting a
know.
softie from there. Going down to the Nilgiris for a small cake that they used to make, special cakes. We used to go down there in the
Mm.
cafeteria. Black Cadillac a little later on, when we had a little bit of money through modeling, we would go to Black Cadillac, Guzzlers Inn, and we would
Oh
wait
yeah.
till they played Eagles song, and
Mm.
that's when the pub closed. We would go to Pecos,
Mm.
Night Watchman, NASA. Potshot was a regular hangout joint
Yeah.
because I was given very little pocket money, and I
Mm.
had to hustle by playing pool to, go double or quits in that and try and show like I'm not a good player and slowly get more money in, and then start having the game in a subtle way without giving it all. And I would have my earnings from there, so I could put fuel in my TVS 50
Oh
and,
wow.
take my girlfriend out, or go out with my friends, uh, Konark, go and have coffee and dosas in the evening. Yeah, I mean, those are the places that we visit, because Bangalore, and back in the days, in the 80s and 90s, was just all around. Brigade Road, MG Road, your Residency Road, and Lavelle, St. Mark's. So that's about it. Anyway, further than C.V. Raman Nagar was like
Mm.
dead. We would go sometimes as college with college friends, or thing to Nandi Hills
Oh
in the
yeah.
cold of the night, and go to Shiva Dhaba, the last dhaba out there. And their friends would get some quarter bottles, and they would have some, and we would have some chicken out there. Um, there's a lot of, I mean, Bangalore back then was fun. We would, like, I don't know if you know of Little Rose, going up St. Joseph's College and old Shule police station.
Yeah, yeah.
So some of the guys who would want a drink and the time was up, they would hit the shutter, and the guy would pull it up and roll a bottle down, and then you chuck the money in. So it was fun. I mean, Bangalore was epic. And
Mm.
yeah, I loved growing up in Bangalore. And that's why I moved to New Zealand, because it reminded me of my childhood,
Is it
the
right?
weather, the suburbs,
Mm.
and that's when the only thing missing is the local flavor, the street foods, the certain friends that I had, the 3 a.m. friends. Yeah, but otherwise, that kind of um,
Amazing.
pulled me towards it because of that. Yeah.
Amazing. And since you mentioned Brigade Road, do you remember there were two music stores, Planet M and Music World?
Yeah, I think so. There would have been, but yeah, I mean, uh,
Yeah.
Planet M and Music World.
Because
Would that have
the reason why
been?
I
I mean,
brought that
I
up.
haven't gone to Brigade Road right now.
No, I
Mm.
mean it used to be there. It doesn't exist anymore. And
Okay,
all
okay.
the pubs that you mentioned, Night Watchman, and I've
Yeah.
been there too back in the days. None of
Mm,
these
mm,
exist.
mm.
So it's fully changed. I don't know when if you have visited Brigade Road or MG
I
Road
haven't in
recently.
the strip.
It's
I
it
haven't in the
looks
strip.
very different. As in it still looks
Knockout,
the same, but
Knockout. Do you remember Knockout? There used to be a discotheque, Knockout.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Afternoon discos. Yeah, yeah. That used to be there. Yeah.
Amazing. Great. And yeah, I mean, the reason why I brought that up is there was this music store called Music World. And then when Kadal Desam released, right, I went to that
Mm.
store to get the cassette. And I had
Okay,
this vivid
okay.
memory. And it was just, was it? Yeah, it was probably in the Motor Royal Arcade, if you remember.
Okay,
On
okay,
Brigade Road.
okay. Rings a
That's
bell.
where it
Rings a
was.
bell.
It was
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
first or second floor. I can't remember.
Next to only place Motor Arcade. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Correct,
Mm.
correct. So,
Yeah.
that's a good segue to get into Kadalism. So I'll have to tell you a very interesting, a little theory. So back in the days when I was probably in my 11th or 10th standard, I can't remember, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when the movie came out, right? And my close friends used to tell me that you were hanging out outside of Motor Royal Arcade along with your friends or something like that, and then Kadir happened to walk past or he was shopping there or whatever, and he spotted
Mm,
you,
mm, mm.
and then he cast you
Yeah.
in the movie. Is that true? It's
Mm.
not true, right? I don't know. That was the theory back in the days.
A little bit distorted, but somewhat close by because I had a friend who had a shop in Motorola Arcade.
Right.
There were these two friends, Hidayat and Iqbal, and they knew Kadir. You know, they had some
Okay.
connection. So I used to catch up. I had come down from Bombay,
Yeah.
and I was just catching up with all the friends before I left. And I happened to meet them, and they said, "Hey, someone's coming. They're looking for a new face
Mm.
for a Tamil film." And all. I said, "Okay, I'll check who all I know and friends, and I'll send them,
Mm.
to you all. You can put them on to the director." And that's what it was. And they introduced me to Kadir at that time, and hi, hello, kind of things, because no inclination. I didn't know a word of Tamil. Though growing up in Bangalore, you might be from different walks of life, but everybody communicated in English.
Correct.
So so I said, okay, if any of my friends are interested, I'll let you know, because at
Mm.
that time I was predominantly more towards modeling
Yeah.
and trying to make my headway in the modeling side towards Bombay,
Mm.
now Mumbai. So yeah, so I never really thought of myself being there. And so I sent all the friends like, hey guys, go and meet up. This guy's come. He's looking for a new face for a
Mm.
thing. So that was the actual thing. And I get a call 2 months later when I was in Bombay
Yeah.
at the house. The landline rings, and then they said, Mr. Kadir wants to speak to you. And I'm like, who's Kadir? Like, I met him only for once.
Yeah.
And then they had to refer my friend's name. And I said, yeah, I know. And then I put 2+2 and I said, okay, yeah, now I get it. So they came on the phone and said, can you come down to Chennai? And, we want to do a screen. I'm like, what the hell? And I said, okay, make payments for my train tickets. And this is typical Bombay, because Bombay, you're very cut to cut, like no wasting time, and you would filter out people who were bullshitting.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, just send me the tickets and all that stuff, and I'll come down there. And things. So they put me up for 5 days, and I stayed in a hotel for 5 days. And on the fifth day, they took me to YMCA, and we did the test shoot, and then they said, okay, we'll sign you up for a movie. I was like,
Amazing.
okay, fine. Yeah. So at 18, 19, like, you're signing a check for 50,000. Those days were like big bloody money. I said, okay, it's good pocket money, and I can do some more portfolio shots back in Bombay. I was like planning all those kind of strategies, So yeah.
Amazing. And then any memories that comes to your mind, Kadal Desam days? I can't resist asking because it's one of my most favorite soundtracks, and I also like the movie. I remember going with my dad and my brother, sitting in the front row and watching, and we loved you. I mean, I love you, man, and yeah,
No,
absolutely
thank
love
you,
your
thank
work.
you.
So, any memories that
That
come to
move,
your mind?
Lots of memories. Especially we had like, Kadir loved the morning light, and he would
Mm.
wake us up whether we were shooting in Bangalore or in Chennai or Ooty. We would all get the 3 o'clock wake up call and the coffee,
Wow.
and we would get ready and hit the road by 4, so we can catch the morning light. So we had a lot of morning shoots, and
Yeah.
Tabu and Vineet were my seniors in
Mm.
that movie, my first film. So they had more knowledge, and I was just like a just tagging along there, and
Mm.
they would club me up with Vineet in his car, and I would feel like, so, I hope I'm not disturbing this guy. He's an actor, and I'm like, and he has to accommodate me in his car, and he would rather be alone and all. But
Mm.
he was such a sport, and he kind of, he helped me in so many ways in trying to understand. Like sometimes I would be carelessly just sitting there with my legs crossed and smoking in the set, and he would like, let me check, this is the producer coming, just put your legs down. I was like, okay. And I just put my cigarette down because I like, see, I mean, I'm not disrespecting, but this is who I am, uh, you know. So he played like kind of a big brother in kind of, helping me through that
Yeah.
movie. There was one time which, me being the newbie, I called for a backup without them knowing it.
Oh,
We were shooting Hello Doctor in the studio because that was the first schedule of the movie.
right.
Hello Doctor. They wanted to start with the song, so we were shooting in Prasad Studios with Tabu, myself, and Vineet.
Mm.
And last day of the shoot, and they kept on going, with certain stuff. Those you had to be hung up
Correct.
through
Yeah.
the rigs,
Yeah.
and then the shot was okay. We gave good one or two shots, and then they kept wanting. Kadir wanted no this and I was really fatigued, and I like, okay, this is where I'm going to start my first acting episode. I acted as a I'm going to faint, and then I said I'll just pull a fast one, and I acted as if I just fell down top, and they said, oh, get water and all that stuff, and they gave, and they said what? So I said, shit, I can't say this. I'm joking because I'll get screwed. So I said, let me carry on playing it, and I played, and they said, okay, let's back up. We started. So, I mean, that's the first. I think this is the first time I'm revealing that a little gig. So, Kadir, I mean, it's long gone. So, I don't think
Yeah.
Kadir will get upset now. So, yeah. So, those are
Yeah.
some fond memories. And especially in Bangalore, we shot quite some portions and running on MG Road back in the days. Now,
Oh, yeah.
MG Road is totally changed, but if you see Karl Desam, we were like running towards Motor Arcade, and
Mm.
I have to come and look at a bill,
Mm.
a phone bill, and all that stuff. So Kadir made me put glycerine, and my first experience putting on drops of glycerine to get my eyes totally red and face red, and they would make me
Yeah.
do a handstand upside down, so all the blood rushes to the face.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of little
Oh, you had to
things
actually do that, is it?
which when you
Oh, wow.
yeah. So all those things, and I come running into Motor Arcade, and I open the phone
Yeah.
booth thing, and I get the bill, and I see Vineet's call the same number, and then that's where the
Right.
changeover and to the prelude to the climax and all that stuff. So those
Right.
are some amazing stuff.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and
But
also,
that
I mean,
movie, I mean, like gave me the sorry,
no,
go ahead.
keep going, keep going, keep going.
No, that movie also gave me a leeway because I used to be a smoker, but my parents didn't know. So that movie was an excuse. They said, "You're smoking." I said, "No, the director wanted it." So that was like a yeah.
Right. And I also wanted to ask you, I mean, I still have vivid memories of that movie. It's been a while I watched it, but I love it, as I said earlier. And your costumes, right? You obviously had amazing polo t-shirts in it, and you had varied colors like dark green, the bottle green, and the reds
Mm.
and whatnot. And I still remember after Kadal Desim, I'm going back to my childhood days now, where myself and my friends would go look for that specific polo colored t-shirts to sport that after watching you on that movie. And like,
Mm.
was there any discussion at all, more from a costume perspective, that let's go with polo t-shirts for you? Or I'm just trying to think, because it's been a while since that movie was made. Were there thoughts around that area too? Like, I don't know.
No, I mean, see, I was never involved in that, but
Right. Or was it your
there was
choice to
Ashok.
wear?
No, Ashok Iyer was helping Kadir with the costumes.
Right.
He had a good. He was aesthetically had a good taste, but I was not the one who would just take anything crap. But Kadir also had a kind of a look in mind, and
Mm.
Ashok would go and procure these kind of clothes and said, "No, let's give these guys this kind of thing because."
Mm.
I was from Loyola College, so they had to give me a little bit more hep kind of stuff. And Vineet was wearing more
Mm.
oversized, shabby
Yeah.
kind of shirts because of Pachapas. And I mean, I didn't know at that time the difference between Loyola and Pachapas. It was more like, having your Commerce College versus Christ College or something of that kind of sorts.
Mm.
I'm not sure, but in that respect, so the rivalry part. But so yeah, Ashok Iyer, I did a good job with getting some really good, and they would ask me which one, and I would like select
Right.
with the stuff that they had there, and I would select. I mean, I think I remember going just once or twice for shopping of clothes with them,
Mm.
but 90% had been done by with Ashok and Kadir.
Amazing. So good. And since you mentioned about Hello Doctor, I can't resist telling you this. So since COVID, it's been almost 3 years. I've been working from home with the entire 3 years, and I still continue to do. And long story short, during my lunch breaks, whilst working at home, the track that plays every single day is Hello Doctor, where I play it and I dance and go all the way to my kitchen from my office room. This is my office room slash
Wow.
studio, and then I dance and go. And I've said this in Sir's
Mm.
podcast to him, and he was just laughing.
Uh,
I told him. So this song is very special for me. And then, yeah,
why
I
is
mean,
that?
yeah, and then I was sorry.
Why is it
I
special?
mean, I
What's
don't
the
know.
reason behind that?
It. I mean, I get in that groovy zone when I play it, and I feel like, okay,
Mm.
I need to get myself like it takes me into a certain zone. This particular track, and that's why it's very special for me. But I might be one of those crazy ones who,
Mm.
who must be getting obsessed with this track, maybe. But it's just one of those things. I just thought I'll tell you,
Mm.
and also the other thing is, what did want to ask you was, when you shot for this song, right?
Mm.
Must have must have been the first time you heard that song as a shooting mix. I take it.
Yeah, I heard
Right.
I heard it at the studio on the Nagra.
Yeah.
So they played it once, twice, and then um,
Mm.
I was like trying to get the beat and feel the beat and the rhythm
Yeah.
in my body for me to get that movements. So
Mhm.
that's I heard it on the set when
Right.
I was there to
Okay.
shoot.
And what did you think of it when you heard it for the first time? I'm just curious. That's all.
I couldn't understand the lyrics,
Yeah.
but I was trying to go in deeper to find the beat
Right.
because once I have the beat, then I'll have the rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a good mugger back in the school days with my history subject.
Yeah.
So I said, I'll just mug the lines up. I'll understand what the meaning of the line is, and I'll give that expression when needed based on the words that I'm throwing out from my mouth. So that's how my step was to do it. Uh,
Right. Right.
yeah,
Amazing. And
because
then.
I didn't want to look like a fool. Having a different expression and the words coming out as totally contrast to that. So it was very important for me to know what it is, so I could have that expression kind of combined with the dance movements and the facial
Yeah.
expression. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it has been shot well. I mean, it. I feel that it's kind of relevant even for today. Like today, if we had to put that out as a music video, right? I don't think it's going to look stale
Mm.
at all. Still looks relevant. Music is great and has been executed well too. So, and
Yeah,
also
yeah.
the other track that I definitely wanted to get your thoughts on is the Anbe, which was obviously shot in Mumbai, right?
That's
Any
my favorite song in the whole movie.
Is that right?
It's my favorite song. I mean, I'm a hopeless romantic, and I just love that song. It kind of, I mean, I used to enjoy the pain in the romance. That
Mm.
would bring out the best in me. It would make me think out of the box as a hopeless romantic, how I could woo my lover
Mm.
or my girlfriend at that time. And yeah, that's I love that song.
Right. And do you still listen to it, or
I do.
yeah?
I do listen to that song. The favorite shots, there are many favorite shots in that song for me. There are few which I love, is which KV Anand has so beautifully captured.
Mm.
Um, is the shot where you've got the Haji Ali at the back and both Vineet
Mm.
and me are
Yeah,
crossing
yeah,
in
yeah.
the beginning of the thing. It's another story when I'll talk to you about, what we saw while walking down, and it was a tele-zoom. They're sitting some a kilometer and a half away, and we are so somebody had to just do it through walkie-talkie or through a phone. That day it was a luxury to have a mobile phone. So the producer would have given one phone to the executive producer out there, and he would say, okay, action, and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But there were people clapping close by, and we had to walk, keeping a
Wow.
straight face and hoping not to slip and slide on that.
Right.
So that was that shot was beautiful. But there's a place where Tabu is sitting in a library, and I just lean forward and look at her.
Yeah.
I think KV Anand has made me look so amazing in that shot, and yeah. So that was one nice place, and trying to catch up in the car when they're going in, when Tabu's in the other car. I'm trying to follow on the red car. So
Yeah.
interesting experiences for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's one of my most favorite tracks, and it still blasts the speakers out in the car if I play it, even today, and it's so
Yeah,
relevant.
yeah.
And another amazing track of yours again, which plays in every concert of ARR Sir's concert, Mustafa. Even today, every single concert this track plays. I mean, any fond memories of this track? Shooting or listening to it, or could be anything.
Lots, especially the one near Presidency College. It had such a beautiful, sweet rhythm to it, and I was trying to find that. I mean, I'm always been about the beat. I enjoy dancing, and I used to go to clubs regularly back in the days. And when I heard that, and then there was like when the beat starts off and takes off. So Mustafa, and like the when I got hold of the actual beat and I was like in a trance of my own. And you can see that shot where they've got Vineet and me together. We are on the corridor of Presidency College doing, and I'm like, going. You can make out that I'm in a kind of a trance because I held on to that beat, and I found that beat so captivating. That song, the one where we've got all the lights, Kadir wanted all the lights coming up. That's, I think, has become a sensation after that. It's been a cult after that. Every occasion, or whether it's an Indian or an overseas concert, you'll find now mobiles coming up with their torches. But back in the days, it was he had used candles, and some people lighters and all that stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of memories to those things. And each song had, like Mustafa song, there was a lot of montage shots of walking, of so we had a 15-day schedule only for montages, which he shot in Bangalore, then on the road in Bombay. After every scheduled scenes, we would have a certain number of days only for the montages for Mustafa song.
Beautiful.
Be it OT, be it anywhere.
Yeah, superb. And since you mentioned about the beats, right? What about Kaluri Salai? That's another favorite track of mine.
That was a tough one because the late Master Jayant, Cool Jayant, he was doing that. And I was so scared, like, how would I be able to dance the way he's dancing? And he's a real cool dancer. And, so we practiced even the rap bit. Yeah. We practiced the real fast movements, but eventually then Kadir and KV decided, let's do it with Master doing that part. But I mean, I was blown over with the sets. I was blown over with each song had a different expression of its own, a different beat of its own. It is not like a same thing. So that is my first. I mean, I've heard ARR Sir's songs in Roja and Bombay and all that stuff, but being part of a film where I've had the luxury of having all the songs by ARR Sir, it was like, so you had Anbe in a different mood altogether. This had a total vibrant youth outburst, and just trying to like break through those chains and come out. And the scorching heat of Mahabalipuram, where we had the sets on, was a different story. But I mean, it was I think each and everything. And I remember while doing Kalluri Salai and the climax, I'm not sure if it's Kalluri Salai. I think it was the climax part, yeah. But and
Mm.
that set, we it was during Ramzan period, so I would have to like stay away from all that
Mm.
stuff, go and sit in the shade, and then again for the shot, come down
Yeah.
and because I was fasting and doing the shots there as well. But yeah, I mean the whole vibrant colors which you would see in Hollywood style of
Mm.
street dancing and the Michael Jackson videos or some of the pop artist videos that they would have music videos.
Yeah.
You get to see that firsthand out
Great.
here, and I'm like, wow, it was something new.
Yeah, love it, love it. And whilst shooting for that movie, did you have the opportunity to meet ARR Sir then?
See, I was new to Tamil, the language.
Yeah.
And I used to always find like when people were talking in Tamil, I thought, oh, they made fun of me or they're cracking a joke at me, and I didn't know, so I wanted to learn. So I used to
Yeah.
sit and talk. So there was this production driver. Production had given me a driver, and he was like, always sitting by my side. So I would
Mm.
try and converse with him and learn a word or two. So when I came across and I met AR for the first time on the sets, he came to the spot where we were shooting there, and I was like, okay, so A.R. Rahman. So I said, okay, because in my head it was like, okay, his name is a Muslim so he might know Urdu or Hindi, so I can converse to him. And I'm like yakking away to him, and he's like being this typical AR smiler, like he had this grin out there, and And after he left, I said, Kadir, why didn't he interact with me? I was like talking to him. He doesn't speak Hindi right now. That time he's like, so I said, oh, I thought. And that was a thing because I met his mom, his late mom also out there. She had come for one of the shootings, and like Kadir was pretty close with AR and his family and all that stuff. So I had the opportunity of meeting his mother, and I never knew. I was so naive and so oblivious that I thought, okay, if it's like a North Indian name or a Muslim name, so they by default they should know Hindi, they should know Urdu. I never thought like. Uh, because there was sometime when I went for another movie shoot with Mamuka for a shooting, and we went for press, and they were reading the press in Tamil, so I was like, oh, this is new to me. So
Mm.
there's a lot of experiences that way, and that was my first experience with the art. Uh, and I told him that when I was there, I said, "Do you remember when he first caught up?" And he said, "Yeah, yeah." So yeah.
And but you've had that close association with him since then though, right? Because I remember even
Yeah.
when AR Sir traveled here for the Australia New Zealand tour, right? That was in 2018.
Mm.
Yeah, 2018, 2017,
2018, yeah.
2018. I know, you were on the
18, yeah.
cruise with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, tell me everything. Please.
See, I mean, I used to regularly, when back in Chennai, I used to regularly go and meet up with him. And
Amazing.
there were some projects where I would take the director. I guess the directors also wanted, because they knew my film was with AR, he had done music.
Mm.
So they said, let's do a film. And they would tell me the script and say, we want AR to do the music. So I would take them and, after filtering a few scripts, I would say, okay. And I would take those Hindi directors and go to AR and say, how's the script? And, and he was really chock-a-block busy and all that stuff. And he would say like, yeah, let's work, not right now. Let's do something later. And then so slowly, and we kept going, and then we went on our own ways and all that stuff. And again, met up for Kandukondain and all
Oh, yeah.
that stuff. Then we had, when he and my wife then got into fashion designing, and she had her own label. So she got close. She was very close with Sarah, AR's better half,
Yeah.
wife. And so she was more interacting with AR, with his studio work and certain music videos and all that stuff. So when he landed up in Auckland for the show, and Sarah had informed Iram that AR is there, catch up with him. And so we went, caught up with him, and
Nice.
got to spend a lot of time. And then he was inquiring about why I moved to New Zealand. And I told him what my mindset was. And he says, yeah. And he says, what Auckland is to you, LA is to me. So we hit it off back again on that patch, and, with that same mindset. And I was like trying to absorb whatever positivity I could get from him as a human being, and, adapt the good things and make it mine. as well to better myself.
Beautiful.
And so along the way, we also went and he showed me the first trailer of
Lamask.
Lamask and out there on the laptop, and I was like blown away with wow. I mean, how did you come up with this thing? And then we went on the cruise and they were shooting all that stuff. So it was nice to touch base again with with your peers and your colleagues from the previous industry that you were part of. And I guess that those small little touches of revisiting kind of slowly was building up inside me, and I was like slowly waking up a sleeping giant. So I guess
Beautiful.
I mean it was a good acknowledgement, and yeah, it was
Agree.
it was what it was.
Agree. Yeah. I totally understand. And you also met him a couple of days ago.
Yes, I was in Chennai and I met him a couple of days ago because suddenly I had my son who one day came and told me, Dad, I want to share something with you all. And I was like, I hope you haven't, done anything wrong, or because he was having a girlfriend. I said, I hope you've not made me a grandfather and all that stuff. And, he said, no. I said, thank God. Okay, now go ahead. So then he said, no, I'm into music. I said, oh, okay. And then I get to know that he's really passionate about music, and he's been writing songs and making up music, and he's been landing some number of songs, So I've been, all that happened. And then I said, I'm going to India. You want to come join me? I'm going to meet some of my friends and all that stuff. And you can meet your grandparents also. So he said, yeah, I'll come along. So he came along to Chennai and he was catching up with his classmates. And I said, I'm going to meet AR. You want to join up? He said, yeah, sure. So he came along and then he was sitting with AR and he was like totally immersed in the creativity of what AR does and, the level. So he was like checking on the software and this and that. And AR said, why don't you go and have a look at the trailer and the 37 minutes long this thing. So he said, okay. And he came back, he was like, thing. So then I went out and watched it and I said, let them both have the creative little thing going on. So he totally loved, and he was so sure that he said, I know I'm on the right track and I want to be creatively, I want to be where AR is, He's saying not the materialistic things, but I want to be that creative high that he's got. I want to be there. And I said, I'm proud for you. I'm like, good that, you got that from the right person. And, so, and we were sitting and chatting, and then one whole day. And then next day, when I was supposed to leave for Bangalore, he said, come over, we'll go to the farm. So I went and saw his farm, and where he's built a beautiful monument for his mom's resting place as well. It's so peaceful out there. And I just love the whole ambience of that place and what he's doing with it. And I guess a lot of positivity from him also has been rubbed off on me, so
I can tell.
Because coming from New Zealand with all the cool weather, and then you come to Chennai with all the heat and humidity, but having a person like AR next to you and him always being positive, you can't think of anything negative. All that positivity rubs off on you, and then you also start spreading that. So
Beautiful. And is your son going to pursue music in KM or something, or it's too early?
No, he is. He's been. I asked him. I said, "Do you need any help from me?" And he said, "Like, nah, I'm going to do it on my own."
Beautiful.
So I said, "Okay." I said, "All I can do is I know some people. I can, just put you onto them. You can get advice from them, which might help you in certain corrections and all that stuff." So the only thing I did was I bought him a professional mic and speakers, but he does everything from writing his lyrics to engineering the song and all that stuff. And so he's trying to make it on his own steam, and I'm proud of that. So he's like churned out he does English rap music, and he's churned out some 8 songs, and he's launched 2. So you'll find that on Apple and Spotify, and he wants to keep dropping each one. But yeah, it's his journey. So I'm backing him up with that, and so
love it. And then also another person I wanted to mention, Rajiv, is a very, very dear friend of mine, and I did tell him that you were in town as well, and he wanted me to pass on his best wishes to you. and I'm sure he'll watch this podcast when it comes out. I wanted to know any memories that you would like to share of Kandukondain. Surely there should be something.
Rajiv was a real tough taskmaster, and
Was
he
that
didn't
right?
give me
I
the
was
role
actually going to
easily.
ask you if that was going to be the case. Is it? Okay.
Yeah, he really pushed the buttons for me to, and I said, Rajiv, I want to be a part of this project, because at that time my career was not in the best of its
Mm,
space, and I really needed a good combination, and this was a beautiful. So I kept going to his office every morning, before I went for shoot anywhere else. I
mm.
would go drop in, pay a visit, and then eventually I was so persistent that he gave in and said, okay, this is the Bharati Kavide. If you can recite me the Bharati Kavide, the role is yours. For 30 days, I kept playing the cassette and going over and over and over and over again, which is
Oh,
recorded by his assistant director, Manikandan,
yeah.
getting the meanings of it, getting the pronunciation, the colloquial slang to it. Chuttum vilik churudan kannamma surya chandiraro valai karume. So like now I've forgotten a little bit, but I had the whole lines memorized. And
Yeah.
one day, suddenly I said, okay, I'll come. I said, no, I'm busy. And out of the blue, I'm shooting somewhere else. He just calls me and says, can you come now in the next half an hour? I want to hear this thing, because I want to know whether you're serious or not. And I, like, out of the blue, he catches me and I go there. And the first take I do is like fully like stressed out and all that. Then I said, wait, one second. I composed myself and I gave another one. And then he just had his, okay. And then next time I was like, okay, you're there in the movie. So yeah. So that was Rajiv.
Wow.
But he helped me. He helped me, get out of my comfort zone.
Amazing.
And yeah, so he was. I mean, he's a very passionate filmmaker.
Yes.
Um, Very strict at times, because he doesn't like to compromise on his product. And sometimes if there was any kind of lag from my side, he would like really push
Mm.
and give it to me. And so there have been moments where I've been like, oh no, but that was him trying to get the better of me and uh, get a good acting skills out of me.
Mm.
And I thank him for that. I thank him for the project, and Kalikuli Dano for having me in that wonderful movie,
Yeah.
and the opportunity to also work with Mamuka in that
Mm.
film. So beautiful, Mamuka, Ajit. So it was good.
Beautiful. Yeah, and I absolutely loved your role too, and you did an amazing job. And I can't resist asking any of your favorite tracks in that album. Once again, an amazing album for you.
The title song Kandukondain was a
Yeah.
beautiful one,
Yeah.
but I loved Ajit's song in that with Tabu.
Oh,
That was my favorite
in the
track,
solo
and
program.
I did perform. Yeah, in a Solopogurai, I did perform for that when I went for some of my overseas Star Night shows.
Right.
I performed on that because that was more catchy, and
Yeah.
it had a beat to it that you could dance
Mm.
to and tap your feet. Whereas Kandakondain was more melody and
Mm.
something you can just hear when you're driving a car. So
Nice. Nice. And then do you still keep up with Sir's music releases at all? Like do you is what's your daily playlist like? Doesn't have to be
I have a
ARR, but I'm just
I
generally
have a
asking.
daily playlist. I mean, the phone is out there right now with you, but my daily playlist is gym. The title is Gym and Car. In that, I've got Tilda Tilda.
Oh
I've got
wow.
Kadilan. I've got all the numbers which will keep me. For me, I need a fire and that motivation for me to pump up in the gym,
Yeah.
and these would kind of make me feel like, dude, you got to get fit for that industry. But
Amazing.
I would just get fit for my wife, because she'd say, just because you're not acting, you're just going haywire. So why don't you? So I would use these songs and Kalluri Salai and Hello Doctor songs I had along with the other English ones.
Yeah.
I would have these mixed in that playlist
Mm.
to like, motivate me and just suddenly feel like, yeah, I would like, okay, Prabhudeva's dancing style. Then I had Raju Sundaram and Gautami's song,
Chikubukarele.
uh, Chikubukuraile. Then there was in the Tilda Tilda song. Then there was our own Hello Doctor
Yeah.
song and Kalluri Sari. So I had different ones which I kind of
Nice.
resonated and I could connect with to motivate me. So
Mm.
these are some of the ones which I would play along with the other ones. But these come up to my mind straight away.
Amazing. And another passion of yours that I realized only recently after Baddy's interview is your passion for bikes. And I
Mm.
am passionate about bikes too. And I've got a Jigsaw here, and I absolutely love it. Not that I get to ride every day, but keen
Mhm.
to know about your passion for bikes, and then what do you have currently? And I've gone to your YouTube channel, had a look at one of your videos, and yeah, I mean, just would you like to talk about your passion for bikes too?
Passion for bikes started off when I just was in the 10th standard, because some
Yeah.
of my the guys, my seniors in the area,
Mm.
they were planning a trip to up north, uh, and to the Manali and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And those days you had Road Kings and you had Yamaha RX 100s.
Yeah.
So I would want to piggyback ride with them. They would take in the train from Bangalore to Delhi, and then from there ride on. So that was
Wow.
my experience of motorcycles. And then I had an episode where I was kind of in a very dark space,
Mm.
and where I wanted to like completely
Yeah.
get over with life. But it
Yeah.
was a motorcycle which kind of helped me
Yeah.
bounce off. So that a motorcycle basically, what it does is it reminds me of my second life,
Mm.
and that I have to make it worthwhile.
Mm.
Not for me, but there are some people unknowingly looking up to me. So for them, I have to keep going, and I have to be strong for those people who don't are not visible to me in the naked eye, but who are somewhere watching me from somewhere. So I have to keep the torch burning
Mm.
for them, because I might be able to change someone's life with something that I'm doing. So that's what keeps me going. And the motorcycle is my reminder for that. And for a space where you can have men's mental well-being, and retouch with your core self, with your soul, and try to um, undo the wrong. So in my helmet when I'm riding, if there's an instance where I've had an issue with somebody, and
Mm.
I've not that scenario is not played out well, I enact that whole thing in my head with all the dialogues of A person A and person B, and I do the rectification
Wow.
of saying the right words, so that that is done and dusted, and then moved out, not just brushed under the carpet. So
Interesting.
that helmet, I'm talking to my maker, I'm talking to the person who I would have wronged or shown an attitude or an ego. And sometimes that actor with the ego comes out, and I might land up hurting somebody. So I try to replay that whole thing, and if I'm not able to reach out to that person, most of the time they're there, then I go up to them and say, I'm sorry for my behavior that way. But when some things in the past, many years in the
Mm.
past, I've been rude to maybe a spot boy or a production person, and that kind of rings the bell back in my head, and then I can't reach out that person. So
Mm.
I'll play that whole thing, and I'll ask forgiveness, and I'll make it something where he or she doesn't feel hurt, and that makes me feel a little bit more lighter. I've got one more off my bag, and then so
So good.
that's what the motorcycle. And currently I'm riding is I had a Harley which I took from India to
Mm.
New Zealand, because
Wow.
I was scared my wife won't let me buy another one there. So I took it along, and the custom said, we've got a showroom. I said, yeah, you don't know my wife. So they said, yeah, okay. And so I sold that bike after 5 years, five
Huh.
long years of riding in New Zealand, and I bought a GS 1250.
Oh
So
wow.
I currently ride a GS 1250, and that helps me go off the beaten track, and get a bit more closer to nature, and find uh, myself more better sometimes.
So good. And how often do you ride?
Every day.
Oh yeah.
So
All
I've
right.
given I've given my car to my wife, because Auckland traffic is horrendous. So I
Yeah.
use the motorcycle to go to work. It's
Yeah.
faster, and then on the weekends I ride out with a couple of my mates I've made
Beautiful.
recently. Otherwise, I just go off on my own.
So beautiful. And it must be like a dream to be riding in New Zealand. And I can't wait. I mean, New Zealand has been on my in my bucket list for a long time, and I think I'll be coming there next year. And I've kept
Come
that
there, we
like
can then do a ride.
100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can't wait. I've a couple of things that I need to do there for sure. Is one, go for a run, somewhere in Queenstown,
Okay.
and then motorbike ride, and also a push bike ride. I'm also a road biker over here.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
and I can't wait. New Zealand is one of those destinations that I'm still waiting for the right time to come.
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely. Because that's what I told the guys when they said, "Why did you choose New Zealand?" I said, "Because your roads don't have potholes." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "When you meet an Indian, you see him doing." I said, "That's because not because it's cultural, it's because of potholes." So he said, "Oh, okay, now it makes sense." So, Yeah.
And having been in New Zealand for a while, have you picked up on the accent, Kiwi accent?
Yeah, I mean, when I speak with them, I
Yeah.
not too heavy on it, but
Mm.
yeah, a few slangs here and there.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
So amazing.
it's when I used to be on the at work or on the call,
Mm.
then I would have that thing
Obviously.
coming out.
Yeah.
But I would emulate every culture and try
Mm.
to mirror their slang and their accent, so it
Yeah.
makes them feel comfortable. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So good. And yeah, so Abbas, we are coming towards the end of the podcast. I'll not keep you for long, but just have a couple of things to wrap up. So, I mean, you have obviously, I mean, I'm super inspired by your journey because there are a lot of things that I could relate to myself to. I mean, I've had a dark phase in my life as well, and where suicidal thoughts and things like that. And then thanks to AR Sir for pulling me out of it, and I'll always be grateful to him for this. And if I'm here today, it's because of him. So I want to say thanks to him. And then I could relate a lot of things. I mean, especially with your interview with Baddy, and then also the interactions that we have had over the last an hour or so. And I always feel that, you obviously have had a journey, and then of course there's going to be another amazing journey which is waiting for in the years to come as well. But you've been super inspirational, and then also I wanted to probably give you this opportunity is where with the journey that you've had, which has been amazing, and how much of I know for the fact that your partner would have had a lot of support for you all through in your journey and things like that. Is there anything, or is there a special mention you want to give to your family, your wife, your kids via this podcast? I think they should hear this.
Yeah, I mean, see, if not for her, she has made me a better person.
Mm,
Um, and she's been practicing meditation and
wow.
a lot of things in life to
Mm,
better herself. But I used to be vocal. I used to, yeah, I know what the outcome for this. I used to just be the yakker, but I
mm,
never did put it to practice by. And she would regularly go for silent retreats and all that stuff. So her
amazing.
resilience and patience in me has helped me rise up.
Beautiful.
My kids, I would say, I've not been an easy father. When they were growing up, as such, I would try to spoil them with gifts because I was not given those toys. Or if my dad had given me toys when I was young, my mother would just
Mm,
pack it up and keep it and say, wait for the occasion. And then I grew up
mm,
and then I never got it. Was still so. When my son was a kid, I removed all those small little matchbox toys and he
mm,
broke all of them in one day. And I was so happy about it. So I tried to give everything that I never got, thinking that, I don't want them wasting their time on materialistic things in life. Like I wasted a lot of my phase of life on materialistic things because I never got it before I could jump on to being a more matured and on that journey. So I wanted them to not waste their time on materialistic things,
mm,
and that was my expectation and of them. But it
mm.
always disappoints you because it's your expectation, not theirs, and what their journey is. So my kids taught me a lot. My son, he's touchwood a level-headed guy,
Wow.
and I was not an iota close to what he's at the age of 23.
Beautiful.
So
Wow.
yeah, so I'm like, I really admire the way both my kids have
Mm.
gone on in life with being with a tough nagging father. My wife's, you are the mother-in-law I never missed. I mean, I'm if I had a mother-in-law, she would not be as nagging as you are. So I've got the title of the mother-in-law in the house, and I'm trying to a lot to rectify that and change around. So I
Mm.
said, okay, I'll become your man Friday and do all the chores of the house for you to keep pleasing the madam. And I've taken 1 month sleep from her to come down here, so she doesn't have a coffee and all. But yeah, so um,
Beautiful.
I think the actual wealth for anybody is their family.
Yeah.
In you can acquire money, you can acquire materialistic wealth, you can get the best of houses, best of cars,
Mm.
but you may not get that family who you can share it with. So if you have a family, a close knit family,
Mm.
enjoy them. Enjoy those kids, the moments, or with your wife, your partner. because that is the true carving of who you will be and what legacy you can pass on to your kids for them to take it on.
Agree. Beautiful. Love it. Love it. And lastly, um, a message for AR Sir via this podcast. And I'll share it to him.
Well, all I can say is he is a special person from the very beginning. I mean, the devotion and the love that his mother gave him and what he has reciprocated through her to the rest of the world. The mother has given so much more of love and understanding of life and the unconditional love. And you can see that in his music, which he spreads to everybody else in some sorts. And that's why you keep coming back to his music, because it reminds you of some special moment with whoever you've had. And that love is there in his music. And that's why he's been timeless for us for such a long time. And I hope he continues to, keep being that baby-like, because whenever you meet him, he still has that baby-like thing. And, babies really want to aspire and do a lot more. And that's the beauty I like about him, that he still has a childish baby-like thing in him. And that's so genuine compared to once you've made it and you have a different demeanor about you. But his simplicity and his humbleness, I've learned a lot from him. And he's also on a different phase of life with his music and what more he wants to give back. So I got a feel of that in this trip with him. And all I can say is hopefully I get to do some more work with him.
For sure.
In the future. And just being associated to him is a blessing, is because you get to learn so much more and get to be a better person as well. Because when you have people around you who are positive and with a clean, pure mindset, it helps you to attain and achieve that level also to yourself. So keep doing what you're doing here and keep intoxicating us with your music so we can go to gyms, get motivated. We can fall in love all over again. We can profess love to the women that we love through your music. We can cry for the ones that have left us and gone. We can touch people's heart and do so much more with the beautiful tunes that you churn out.
Beautiful. I love this. I'm sure he's going to smile when he watches this. And lastly, before I let you go, is there anything that you want to talk about under the sun before I let you go? Could be any topic under the sun that you wanted to talk and I may not have touched on, or...
Well, I would say it's time for men in general, be it from any community of many walks of life. It could be Indian men, it could be Indian men overseas, it could be even non-Indian men. It's time for us to share our vulnerable side out, because there's no harm in putting yourself out there. Because what it does is, if one of us has the courage to come out there and say what we want to, if we've gone through things, not being an advocate or not being an advisor, but just pouring your heart out of certain experiences and how you have helped yourself in that moment to rise up from that occasion. There'll be so many other kids who are going through it in today's time because of so much of information being poured down through media and gadgets. It might help save lives. And that's what I would urge everyone to, just be vocal and be compassionate. Put yourself, if you find somebody who's just being hard or being rude to you, maybe he or he's going through a tough time, and maybe he's just trying to be brave, not letting himself see. I think all of us men are jokers. You have the joker always smiling, making people laugh, but deep down inside he's crying. So we need to help the joker inside us, and so that's the message I would be giving.
Beautiful, and I love it. Abbas, it's been phenomenal to have you in this, and thank you for making this little dream come true to have you in this journey. Guest number 149, and I'm so thrilled. I'm so thrilled that you've been part of this, and thank you for supporting my journey. So really thankful to you from the bottom of my heart. And as a little thank you, I'm going to send you a T-shirt all the way to New Zealand. I'll grab your address and stuff like that later, but I'll send you one just so that it brings a smile when you sport it or when you wear it when you go for a ride under the jacket though. So, and I can't wait to meet you in person, and I love you, man, and you're amazing, and I want to be in touch with you. So yeah, definitely want to do a coffee or something when I'm in New Zealand. And when you travel to Melbourne, please. Yeah. And
Well,
yeah,
I will.
please do make a trip here, and yeah, you can very well stay at my place, and I'll take you around, and let's
we'll do
ride. Say it again.
I said we'll do a bike ride together.
100%. 100%. Abbas, thank you so much. I'll leave you to it then. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for making this happen for me.
Thank you for having me on the show. All the best.
Bye, Abbas. Thank you. Bye.